Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to We Have Something to Say. I'm on briefly by myself because Kenneth's trying to work out some technical difficulties. Hopefully, he'll come on his phone in a second and stop trying to use your computer and just come on the phone. Give me 1 second here, and so I can make this live on Instagram, and we'll go from there. Um, I want to start the show off by saying something that it really just popped up in my head. But I think that more men my age need to start talking about it, particularly African American men, because we're getting to this point where it's so much misinformation and disinformation is going out that we are succumbing to that bullshit too. And this is actually a post that I saw I'm on another page called the Black Fitness page, and somebody made a post, I guess, about posted a picture of Meg Thee Stallion, some young lady, and showed her that she had just dropped her new swimsuit line and that she was modeling it, and the lady was commenting on how good Meg Thee Stallion's legs look, how like she'd been working out, blah, blah. Right for a fitness page is what it's supposed to do. And one of the commentators in there, a young brother, I'm not going to say his name, comes on and says jokingly, because she's showing her legs, yeah, but where are the scars? And of course, it triggered just a stream of comments from different people about, number one, was that appropriate for that particular page because it's about fitness. And so then he gets into, well, I'm just asking where the scars were. Man, we got to stop some of this bullshit. We got to start standing up some of this bullshit. I don't know Tory Lanez. I don't know Meg Thee Stallion. The little bit that I kept up with when the trial was going on. Dude, y'all got to start believing some of these African American women. Some of y'all dudes are stunted in your growth. Like, why would a woman get on there in front of witnesses and say a dude shot at her feet for being mad, shot her in the feet, shot the gun at her feet, and told her to dance? And so many dudes don't believe her. This shit is ridiculous. And stop using the court system for every grievance that you have about believability. God damn, this shit is ridiculous. And some of this is men's my age problem. And I said this for a while. We don't want to call some dudes on their shit. Some of these dudes just be making up dumb shit. They had a jury of women. 12 people got to see the evidence. If you don't have a better alternative than the court system, please sit your ass down. Because it's adjudicated through the court system. And everybody get mad about the court system until it's time for them to have some shit that goes to court. Then you want the court system. Then you want the ability to, give me a second, I'm going to send Kenneth another invite. You want the ability for the court to hear your case and to adjudicate your complaint or what you need for the court system. So why wouldn't you believe this system? Why wouldn't you believe her with all the evidence that came into play? Why would you keep putting this out there as if she's would subject herself to that type of vitriol just for the sake of because? And I'm not saying there's not some women out there that do some crazy shit, but goddamn, to shoot her, bro, just send her home. I always say that, man. If you're not in a good relationship with a girl or whatever, just send her home. That's all you got to do. Just let her go. You don't have to stay in that relationship if it's not for you. But damn, you don't have to make it a danger to her. You do not have to make it a danger to her to pull out a gun because your ego got hurt. And more brothers need to start saying up and saying enough is enough. Now, I understand his father had to fight for his son's life. I get that. But damn, at some point you got to ask yourself, man, why the fuck would you pull a gun out? What make you think that is cool at 30 years old to shoot down at the ground towards somebody's feet? For argument? This right now to me, this sitting back and not saying anything for fear of what you're going to get, the response you're going to get when you know something's just dead ass wrong, man. Your silence is complicity. Your silence is being complicit too, and as somebody who considers himself an amateur historian, one of the things that MLK said was people who don't speak out are just as complicit when they see stuff going wrong. When they see stuff going wrong. And I don't know if it's something that my generation didn't do, but some of these dudes coming up below us just seem to have, it's so diametrically opposed to how some of us were raised. Just the stuff, it's almost like there's no emotional growth. And it's just, it's weird as hell to me. And like I said, I know that triggered me this morning, but whenever I see something like that, I just think about my daughters. And that doesn't make you, the father, perfect. No one's saying being perfect, but damn, isn't there some stuff that's beyond the pale? Like, nah, dude, you just kind of dead ass wrong about that one. And what are we going to do? How are we going to respond to it? I just, because again, on the space of social media, yes, I am already on the air, 10:06. Hold on, y'all. For the sake of social media, because it could be so toxic and so much information can get out there, and we watching in real time what happens when too much if this information gets out there and it's not combated by more of us. Yeah, I'm on the air. You on the air? You come, well, bring your ass on. Bring your ass on.
Man, you talk about, why the hell you calling me? You supposed to be on the air doing professional stuff.
Because they're hearing both of us talk at the same time. Because I want you on the air.
I noticed that.
So so bring your ass on.
Why are you calling me?
So because you can get on the air. So I'll see you in a minute. So, when we don't fight about, all of us don't fight about certain types of disinformation. Excuse me for not being as articulate as I could be. You helped contributed to it also. Is this the generation raised by baby boomers? Yes, this was a generation problem. Some of them, but at the end of the day, they're only being raised by video games because parents aren't in there saying, "Hey, look, enough is enough." So my thing is, at what point do we take any responsibility for it? So again, let me go back. The word triggered is a good word because I saw it. I'm like, damn, who would subject themselves to a trial? First, you mad that she reported that she shot her. I remember people being mad that she would, and they said snitch. Man, I wish a motherfucker would shoot my daughter and she don't take him to court. Man, stop. At some point, you got to damn stand up and say, let's be. And we're letting certain men take over the neighborhood and put down the definition of masculinity. And I take full responsibility as part of that generation. Because it's some of the stuff we just shouldn't have done. Me and Kenneth have had this conversation many, many times. We've had the conversation of where hip hop started changing. We had conversations about why we didn't get in there and demand it. I remember C. Dolores Tucker getting killed, not killed publicly for coming in and going, hey man, some of this is damaging. This is gonna have some long-term effects if you don't get a hold of this. And we're seeing the effects of it. We're watching it in real time. People get away with bullshit. And our response sometimes is, well, shoot, I want to get away with saying bullshit. No, I don't want none of them motherfuckers in part of that. I don't want you to get away with bullshit and then think that you got the right to do wrong in the community day and left and right. Just because that knucklehead at the top's doing it. Just because he's released, 6 criminals in the last month. Now, let me be clear about something. I think Larry Hoover should have been released. That's my personal opinion. That's a long goddamn time to be in prison. The man's 73 years old. 73. That man been in prison for almost 30-something years. At some point, you
73. That's 50 years.
That's 50-something years.
That's 50 years.
You know, I don't have a problem with Larry getting released. I have a problem with who he has as his partners are. It sounds to me that he's just setting up a black militia.
Well, hold on.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm trying to. I caught the tail end of what you were saying about some guys shooting at the ground. What you talking about with that?
My bad, Kenneth. What I got, man, I was coming on to bring this on, and I just had, the Facebook. I jumped on Facebook, and I'm a part of this Black Fitness page, and there's this picture, a beautiful picture of Meg the Stallion dropping her swimsuit line, and she's modeling in it, and she's killing it, right? They're showing her legs, and one of the commentators gets on their brother and says, well, oh yeah, but show me the scars. As if they don't have makeup to cover up scars. But it's all these brothers that's defending Tory Lanez for pulling out a gun and shooting at that lady's feet. Well, it might not be true what they said in court. God damn, if you don't have a better alternative to the judicial system, rumors and innuendos ain't gonna cut it. Rumors and innuendos ain't gonna cut it. And at some point, you gotta admit that the dude just got that serious problem. If he feel like a girl who says that she's not gonna date him anymore, you gotta pull out a gun. But this is another one of the things I'm gonna let you cut in. This is why women have to be very, very careful about leaving their relationships. Because it could be life or death for them. Depending on how emotionally stunning a man is. You're going to shoot a gun at her feet, tell them dance, bitch, dance. At some point, we in our generation, go ahead, I'm sorry, Kenneth, go for
it. This is my whole take on this, on a lot of these trials, celebrity trials. For some reason, Black people have a hard time believing that other Black people are fucking criminals because they're entertainers. They just have a hard time wrapping their mind around, oh, he wouldn't do nothing like that. Like they take his public persona to be his private persona. Now, I don't know who Tory Lanez is and really don't give a shit. Never heard of him before this case. Never heard of him at all. So I don't give a shit what he did, who he is, where the fuck he came from. I don't give a shit about none of that. All I care about is the fact he pulled a gun out and shot at a woman's feet. That's all I care about. That's the only thing I care about. That's some punk shit right there. That's some straight punk shit. Now, he did it as a joke, or he did it as he was trying to shoot her or trying to scare her. Either way, he did the shit. And he got what he deserved. He's really and truly lucky somebody didn't shoot him. Let's be real. He's really serious. He's really lucky about that. And the fact that, and he never denied he did it. That's the crazy thing about it. In the trial, he didn't get up and say, no, I didn't do that shit. That wasn't me. I did not shoot at her feet. He never said he didn't do it. So why are Black people coming up, especially Black men, coming and say, oh, he didn't do that? Same thing with the R. Kelly shit. We got a video of what he did. A video. And this is at the very, I can't say the infancy, but that's when you start seeing crazy stuff on the internet. That's the beginning of it. And we're not gonna believe our own eyes. There was no AI. There was no AI back then. The only AI back then was Allen Iverson. But we want to put these people on a pedestal. Why are we trying to put these idiots on a pedestal? They don't deserve it. And when you would start to talk about with Larry Hoover, 50 years when you started a criminal enterprise that's probably killed thousands of people. And while you're in prison, you still running that criminal enterprise. And I'm supposed to have sympathy for you because you did 50 years. What about the people who you killed? Who you had killed?
Valid
Their family
point.
has a life sentence.
Valid point. That's a valid point.
So if I gotta suffer, and I've had family members of mine, close family friends, get killed by somebody. Off the top of my head, I can think of two of them. Just off the top of my head. and I'm
That's a
supposed
valid
to
point.
forgive your ass. Well, let's say this. You know, the Bible tells us, Christianity tells us we're supposed to turn the other cheek and forgive people. Okay, but that don't mean I let your ass need to be out here in the public with the rest of us. Let's be real.
Valid point.
We can forgive you all day. That don't mean you don't deserve life in prison because you gave us a life in prison.
Valid point.
So I don't. I have no sympathy for him being in there for 2 years. And just so you know, some of you know, and I don't know if you said this, Leonard. He commuted his federal sentence, and the federal sentence was dealing with his conspiracy, running a criminal enterprise, or RICO charges, running a criminal enterprise while he was in prison. That's what Trump commuted. He still got 200 years with the state of Illinois. You think the state of Illinois is gonna let him out? Hell no.
That's a good point.
Hell no, they're gonna let him out.
That goes to show that I should have read this a little more because I didn't know he had more state charges. That this state was the federal state. I didn't know that. What I will say is this. This is what I will say. And
I didn't even know he was in federal custody.
I'm interested to see what Marion thinks about this, who's a little older than us. When you start dealing with the city of Chicago politics and what's happening in the city of Chicago from maybe the 50s into the 60s, and I want to be real careful about what I say. The city of Chicago's politics and political machinery and mechanisms was such that violence was almost a part of daily life, and particularly the violence they were perpetrating on the Black community. And gangs, I mean, you would know more about this than me, Kenneth, but from the little reading that I know about most gangs, from the Bloods to the Crips, they devolved into criminal activity, but they didn't start off as criminal activity. Like a lot of them started off as, like, I remember I read this thing about the Bloods and the Crips. And the Bloods were started because the Crips had already been started. That some of the guys were like, man, we getting our asses whooped every time we walk through certain neighborhoods. So then they started getting together. And in Chicago, you know, with the Chicago Italian mob, with the number runners, Black people in that time were going to start getting together to form groups for protection because the law wasn't protecting them. Period. You know, it's why Fred Hampton got shot in his apartment. And so I'm always,
but
I'm always trying to balance.
You got to think about something.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's look at it from another perspective. I was talking to somebody the other night about how Frank Lucas may have been Puffy's father or something like that.
His father was a drug dealer, but it wasn't Frank Lucas.
Some connection to
he did work for Frank Lucas.
Yeah,
his father did work.
No, they said he worked for Frank Lucas. That's what it was. But right, so that criminal activity, that type of stuff didn't start with Larry Hoover. Didn't start with him. It was always there. We've always had criminals. We've always had criminals in our community. We've always had. Going all the way back to when we had free people there. The difference is this. Normally in those criminal enterprises, they didn't mess with just regular people in terms of, I'm gonna drive down the street and I'm gonna shoot up the block. They're having a birthday party, so I'm gonna go shoot the guy I want to kill is there, and we're gonna shoot up the whole block to show them that we run this. That's the difference.
I agree.
Usually, if you were, and I'm generalizing, but because it's not 100%, but usually it was, if you were involved in that life, that was a part of the risk you took. That if you were involved in that life, you're subject to whatever. The difference between these gangs, the Gangster Disciples, I can't think of the other ones in Chicago. The Bloods, the Crips, and all these things that came up now. The difference between them is this: they'll kill anybody. They don't care. That part right there is why the black community became, and it was also what is you also had the drug aspect of it, and then you had the homicide aspect of it. So you went from trying to protect your community, or you and your boys protect yourselves from the other group, to now you moved into selling drugs to your own community, and now you're fighting over a street corner, and then somebody kill your shoot up your block, so you got to go shoot up their block, and it's a never-ending cycle. So because they started as a protection, or even like, you
going
know,
in
people we always like they were about development and all that. Shooting up a block or anything like that. They didn't do that. Did I glitch out? Did you hear it?
Yeah. I want to interject something because
can you hear me, Leonard?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? I can hear you now, but you're going in and out.
Leonard, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Yes, I can hear you. But did
you hear everything that I said?
Yeah, I heard most of what you said, but your face is frozen. So it's just some glitches in the internet today because mine was acting up today too.
It's not my phone, it's my computer.
Okay. I think that one of the things I want to say is this. I read a book a while ago about Chicago.
It's my computer. I don't know what's going on this morning.
Don't worry, I've had glitches.
It is really, it's really messing up. So I can't tell if you hear.
Y'all are fine, but we can hear Kenneth. I want to say this right quick until we get him straight. I read a book about not that long ago.
It's just I really and truly
hear me. Until we get him back. What I want to say is I read a book about this a long time ago.
I hear anything you said, man.
I know. Because you're going in and out. You're going in and out. You know how we do memes when you got to talk? We got to do sign language.
You laughing about something. I have no idea what you said.
I'm laughing at you.
Why?
Because you going in and out. You talking and you can't hear us talking to you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Okay. I know you. I don't know why you can't hear me.
It keeps going in and out.
That's fine. You go ahead and finish.
I don't even know what I was saying now. So you just talking to me by laughing.
Our producer says
is not.
Our producer says send you a text. Our producer says send you a text.
Oh, Harry got it. She got promoted from viewer to producer. She got an upgrade. Now, Harry, just remember this new position you got does not come with a salary. We work for free over here. Well, let's say this.
You're back.
I just have a problem with commuting sentences of people. Yeah, I know I'm going there now. Yeah, I can tell. I have a problem with commuting the sentence or pardoning people who did the crime that they're accused of. And they should. I'm a firm believer if you murder somebody, you should stay in there. I really believe that. I really get 5 years or anything like that. Now, if you didn't intentionally kill somebody, that's something different. But if you willfully murdered somebody, you unlived somebody, and that was your intent, you don't need to be out here with the rest of us. Stay in there, do the best you can, and leave it at that. I really and truly believe that. And I don't care who you are. I really don't care who you are. Death penalty, I'm sort of on the fence about, but you definitely should not be walking among the rest of us. I really and truly believe that. The other part of it is this, and you were alluding to this on the air when you're talking about what is her
Meg Thee Stallion.
what is it? I don't want to say Catherine because Catherine Johnson was a hero, a shero, and you're frozen now, so I don't know if you can hear me or not, or you just sitting there with your hand over your face.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there, listening to you.
So you are frozen on my thing. So
yeah, our producer said for me to make my point.
Okay, go ahead and make your point.
All I was saying, only thing I was going to say is, look,
this is some bullshit.
The reason I said what I said about Larry Hoover is this. I read a book a while ago, and they were talking to this black detective at the time. And they were talking about the founding of the Gangster Disciples with Larry Hoover and Jeff Fort. That's who founded the Gangster Society. They pulled all these gangs together. And when the Chicago police decided they were going to carry out an all-out war on the Gangster Disciples, which is what they did. It's very similar to what they did to Fred Hampton. The detective said that they told the head of that task force, if you go in and you just start to kill these leaders of the Gangster Disciples, as bad as the stuff they were doing, it was going to be total chaos in the Chicago streets and the black neighborhoods. And it's funny because I had a guy that I know, younger than us, say something like that, similar to me, about what he felt about Larry Hoover. Also, we need to recognize that, yes, there have been criminals forever in the black community. But in a lot of the criminal enterprises, like the numbers, particularly the numbers, which y'all call the lottery nowadays, those were college-educated men who couldn't get jobs anywhere else, who were brilliant dudes. As people don't want to hear that, but they were super smart dudes. A lot of those guys who started the Chicago number gangs were from Lincoln University. They couldn't come out and get jobs. They didn't have access to capital markets, so they figured it out on their own and started the lottery system. And the criminal enterprises for a long time, from like 1920 up into the 1970s, were the biggest employers of black people because they couldn't get jobs anywhere else. A lot of it was a survival mechanism. And Vice, in my lifetime, I would love to hear from Harriet or Marion or whoever is listening. Vice in my lifetime is nothing we've ever gotten control over because you can't stop the demand for Vice. The number runners in Chicago ran that 36 blocks where most black people were after the migration, ran those blocks and supplied those businesses with cash to run their businesses because they couldn't go to the banks. So there was this, Marion, I don't know if the word I'm looking for, this weird dichotomy happening, whereas you had to have church people who had to go to the people doing illegal stuff because you still had the mob running. You still had people like John Kennedy's father, Joe Kennedy, who were bootleggers. It's a narrative because so many people made their money off Vice. There's so many people who made money from the Roosevelts off the opium wars, off opium that they got from. It's the same with right now. I firmly believe, and I know we're off subject a little bit. I have no belief that this administration is trying to stop drug wars from Mexico. I have every belief that they want to control the product. They want to control the product of the drugs. They don't want to stop it. They're totally transactional. And I totally believe that whether we want to admit it or not, my little brother said this a long time ago, drugs are part of the Mexican economy right now. And their government knows that. And drugs are cash cows. And if you don't believe that, because somebody that reads weird shit, before Assad got overthrown, was it back in October right now, which Syria is now run by a terrorist who had a $10 million bounty on his head by the U.S. government. That's who's running Syria right now. The Assad government was being propped up by a synthetic drug that's similar to ecstasy that they sell throughout the Middle East. So when we start talking about what vice does in the neighborhood, many times African Americans have the only way they could get the capital markets. Me and Marion have this conversation all the time. The only way they can get the capital markets because is another form of racism. It's another form of racism. And I'm sorry, Kenneth and I had this conversation all the time. I'm sorry. This a lot of people not gonna say people will not say it. People see it. There's been billions of dollars that's run through the church. Billions of dollars that's run through the Black church. Billions of dollars that has run through the African American church. They haven't opened up any capital markets for entrepreneurs. Matter of fact, most of the guys right now who run in those churches want to get rich themselves. Their talent is being able to bring people in to listen to the word and getting those people to open up their pocket to support that church. How the hell you think we got mega churches? I got bootleggers in my immediate family. Exactly. So, I mean, this strategy that we've been going through, we still don't have access to capital markets. I was talking to a financier just 2 weeks ago. He and I were talking about it. Black financier from Morehouse. MBA from Wharton. Brilliant. Who said, man, we get one shot. Well, you got the Trump boys getting multiple shots and they mediocre. This conversation we having around black vice and black straight people, blah, blah, blah. That strategy has not fucking worked. That strategy, I was told a story a while ago about, go ahead.
This is the thing.
Go ahead.
Okay, there's a difference between a numbers runner and somebody that's selling crack to their own people and decimating their own people, decimating their community.
No doubt about it.
There's a big difference between those two things.
No doubt
people
about it.
People would willingly play the number, and you might hit every once in a while. The whatchamacallit, the numbers runners, the numbers man will pay you out, pay you your money, and you happy. You give them 10 cents, you win $20. You happy. That's a good investment, which is the reason why we have a lottery now. I've never had a problem with that. My problem is when innocent people are getting caught up in your bullshit.
I agree. Wait.
That's the problem I have. That's what I have a problem with.
Absolutely. I know.
And we do. And you're absolutely right. The history of criminality, not just in our community, but also in other communities in the United States, runs deep through communities, runs deep into the history of the fabric of America. Doing illegal stuff. I had a class where they talked about. It was about the underground economy.
Keep talking.
I took a class with that when I was working on my second master's, talking about the underground economy in the United States. Basically, we're talking about people who are doing illegal things and just living their life. That's it. You ain't have an innocent person getting killed. They weren't coming shooting up the entire block. That is the difference. That is the difference between those old school, quote unquote, gangsters or those old school men who ran numbers and people out here today. And now you just got people killing each other just cause. You remember back in the the early 90s, early to mid 90s, when they would shoot people for sneakers or shoot people because somebody stepped on their shoe?
That's
that type shit is going on.
That's a cultural issue.
But that all came from Right. That all came from a philosophy of that drug mentality, that drug dealer mentality, that you are disrespecting me by stepping on my shoes, so I got to kill you. Or they were killing people over some sneakers, over some damn sneakers, man. You getting 50 years in prison because you stopped somebody for a pair of damn Jordans. That's some crazy shit. But all of that mentality, all of that thought process started when gangs became prevalent in our community. Too prevalent. When they took it from just being in LA and Chicago and started importing that bullshit or exporting that bullshit around the country. Too many people in our community got killed because of that shit. That's why like I said, I really and truly don't feel like anybody who's involved in that. If you murdered somebody, or you ordered somebody to murder somebody, or you profited off the murder of somebody, like that lady who's the pardon czar, some bullshit, and she profited off the death of those people who her gang killed. She profited off the death of those, and she's still profiting off that. Think about that. She's still making money off the death of those people who her gang killed. I don't care if she pulled the trigger or not. She's still profiting off of that. Literally because she has a job right now because of that, because she got caught up in, because she was a part of that gang and did prison time for it. Now she has a job at the White House. With a made-up fucking job. And I know she ain't doing this shit for free.
Oh, yeah, she ain't. No, I don't believe that. I definitely don't believe she's
profiting off the death of those people.
Yeah, right. That's
the role in 2062.
Yeah, that's the criminality of the administration. What I want to try to stay on is, again, this is where I started the conversation, Kenneth. This is where I want to take it. And so I'm interested in your perspective. I'm interested in Mary's perspective. I'm here interested in what Harry has to think, or anybody else is on here. Which is, the question is, if I know social media can be a bubble, but social media is still huge. It's still carrying a lot of influence depending on who it is. And we just need to acknowledge that shit. Whether you choose to tune in, listen to it, or pay attention, it has a lot of influence. Who was Kenneth talking about? Kenneth was talking about Kenneth was Alice. What's her name, Kenneth? Alice Johnson, right? I think her name is Alice Johnson. Alice Johnson is the pardon czar. And it's Alice Johnson,
the lady, Alice Johnson.
Yeah, lady is Alice Johnson. She's a black lady. If you look her up, she got Kim Kardashian really took her, Alice Marie Johnson. Kim Kardashian really took her case on. This is how she became known. And she was in Memphis, she was a cocaine trafficker, period. And she was period. She was brutal. There's nowhere in the world you can run that and not be brutal. You just can't. You got to be able to do stuff that other people like us probably aren't willing to do. And so she was in prison for 21 years. And he granted her clemency. And then he made her.
Her whole assertion was, I didn't. Her assertion was, all I did was the money. I handled the books. That's all I did.
Said. Right.
But
right.
You still profited off of it. And whether you ordered it, whether you ordered the death of people, or actually touched drugs, or whatever you did, you were still a part of a criminal enterprise. A criminal enterprise that killed a lot of people. They ran Memphis, which means they had to kill a lot of people. One death is too much, in my opinion. To take over an entire city, you have got to kill quite a few people to take over an entire city. And they made Kim Kardashian, who I can't stand either. I don't like her ass either. Championed this lady, so she was a violent. Yes, she did. She did
Jay-Z wasn't. Wait.
Saying that she was a violent criminal.
Say this, Kenneth. Harry, Jay-Z was never convicted of drug trafficking. Ever. So
Jay-Z was a low-level drug dealer.
Right. The truth of the matter was, Jay-Z
he didn't run a criminal enterprise.
Right. He never had a court case that was adjudicated that convicted him of being a major cause. People need to start saying that. He might be talking about it, but at the end of the day, the only system we need to agree, is this court system. That's it. That's what we got. And Jay-Z was never charged or criminally convicted of being a crack dealer. And that's all we got. She was charged and convicted of being a crack dealer. So yes, the conviction makes a big difference. Because everything else is rumor and innuendo.
Harriet, the difference is this. The difference, and this is how we gonna parse this. At least I am. If you a low-level drug dealer, you selling weed. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing. That I agree that you can do it. But if that's what you're doing, you ain't making no money and you ain't killing nobody. You know, you selling to people who actually want it. You're not going out there finding customers and creating a market. The market was already there. It's just like people who sell alcohol. We know alcohol is causes more deaths than marijuana does. Alcohol is legal. Are we going to charge the person who the guy that owns the liquor store or the clerk at the liquor store? Are we going to charge that person for conspiracy to kill somebody? If somebody's drunk, they get some liquor from there, buy some liquor from there, they go out and they kill somebody in the car. Is it the person who sold them the liquor? Is it their fault? Now, if the person who gave them the liquor, who's selling the liquor, if that person is out there selling the liquor, turns around and tells somebody, you go kill that fool over there, my competition over there, because they got a liquor store across the street from me and they taking my business, then that's the difference. You're actually telling somebody to go kill somebody to further your company or your business. That's what she was doing. That's the difference. There's a big difference.
I don't know. I want to say two things. Let me say, because I'm pulling up some stuff about Alice Johnson. And I think that when you start having these conversations like this, because I don't know.
When did Tupac sell drugs? I never heard anything about Tupac selling drugs.
Well, he said it in Dear Mama that he sold drugs. And that he hung around with drug dealers. But I want to do something, because I don't want to be one of those people that talks about somebody without giving what they say their side of the story of. And I'm pulling up some stuff about Alice Johnson and why they let her go, why they pardoned her, why Kim Kardashian took her case up. And according to her book, she became a certified hospice worker when she was in prison. All right. She was then transferred to a prison closer to her family. She participated in a pilot program by attorney Sally Yates. Just some of the classes, Kenneth, you know all about that you take in prison to show that you're a different person, because you typically not going to be the same person who went in that you came out. She became an ordained minister,
right?
While she was in prison. She was a lecturer at Hunter College in Yale while she was in prison. So to sit here, the circumstances about why she got involved in drugs is I think we need to say those full stories. Because if I was her and somebody was over here talking about it, I would say, hey man, can you give the full story and then let people make their decisions about whether I'm the same person I was when I went in. Am I the same person coming out? You know, and she was not convicted of murder. She was not convicted of any murder. She wasn't even charged with murder. And so we need to be clear about that. You know, now where did something maybe?
What was her original sentence?
Her original sentence was
life in prison?
No, her original sentence was let's see. Her original sentence was
was it life?
It's not saying. Let me say, it's not saying right here, but this is Wikipedia too, y'all. So let's be clear about it. let's see, she blah, 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 blah. So what I'm saying is she was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole in 1997. You're right. Life imprisonment without parole. But again, we're talking about Memphis in the judicial system. But it at least went through the judicial system for people to look at it. Now we can go, and that's a whole nother thing. So all I'm saying is this. So she is like the Menendez brothers. They have all been rehabilitated.
Listen, hey, you know what? Menendez brothers? No. She's not like the Menendez brothers. I don't give a damn. They killed their parents when they were grown. Now, they killed the parents when they were like 10 years old because they were being abused or something like that. Okay. But you're a grown-ass man and you can't move out your damn parents' house. Then you murder them. Then years later, you come up with the defense, oh, they were abusing us. Nah, you don't get no pass on that shit like that, on nothing like that. No.
What I say is this.
You deserve life in prison.
What I say is this. We can have, and I think this is why some people don't like where I say you're sitting on the fence. I'm going short of having a parole board to look at all this stuff. And I'm not there to look at all the nuances and the evidence. I believe that the Menendez brothers killed their parents and they were grown too. I'm not a psychiatrist to sit here and understand, even though if we keep going down the road that you can get a psychiatrist or a lawyer to say anything, the judicial system really doesn't mean anything. And to get back to what we were talking about earlier, what I want to talk about, because I didn't want to go down this crime and punishment thing that we're in. Because I don't know Alice Johnson. I agree with Kenneth. I agree with Kenneth, though. She is making money off it because she's the drug czar. I do question anybody that's getting a pardon by Trump. I believe all of us are paid for. I know they're paid for because the guy that got pardoned last week, his mom gave $1 million to the crypto thing, and then they announced the pardon of him and his wife the next day, and they stole $58 million and don't even have to pay restitution back. Now, is she a part of that? I don't know. I think so many people are part of the grift. My point being, when we start this thing, is where do we as men our age who've been through life with our communities? I always say, I try to center on what's happening in our community. Where do we come in at when we say, hey man, some of this disinformation, this disrespect of African American women that you're seeing out there right now, it's gotten nuts. Like, it's gotten nuts. The vitriol that Meg Thee Stallion gets from getting shot in the foot is nuts by black men, young black men. It's nuts. When me and Kenneth were growing up, Harry, you were growing up, to pull a gun was ostracization out your community. That's not what you did when you were mad, right?
No. If you had a knife, we thought you were crazy as hell.
Right. A gun? A gun because she said stop the car according to the evidence and let me out? This and to see all these guys on here questioning that, it's like, man, what did we miss? Or as Marion says, is this just a product of the crack epidemic and so many young boys being raised in, not saying anything about single black women, but raised in these houses where there was no masculine presence because so many black men were going to prison? Because again, I agree with Kenneth on this. There used to be rules to this. Like, there used to be rules. There were no, Kenneth's 100% right. I always felt the same way Kenneth felt. Man, this new gang thing, when we're growing up, y'all just going by doing drive-bys. Who does that? Who just goes by and shoots up the house and not realize who might be inside? That has nothing to do with what your beef is. And where
don't even care.
Right. Where in the community did we as men say, stop and say, we need to form groups to say, we're not tolerating that. Y'all don't run these communities. There's a consequence to that may not be within the Constitution to make y'all stop. Because obviously y'all not listening to the police. And obviously y'all are basing it on fear and terrorism of the whole community. And why aren't we 100,000 men strong? That's why I don't go to church. Literally, I do not go to church because I don't believe in the men in the church. I don't believe they would stand for shit. I don't believe they would give their life for anything. Nothing. I don't believe they would give their lives for nothing. They say they'll give their lives for their wife and their kids. I don't believe them. I don't. What they've done is they've retreated back into within their own gates. I don't believe that. Because most men would say, like Kenneth and I were saying right now, and we talked about this last week, bro, you just dead ass fucking wrong for pulling out a gun and shooting at some woman's feet because she hurt your fucking feelings. You just wrong, and your daddy wrong for coming in defending you. You wrong, and your daddy wrong. And if y'all can't accept that, maybe the other group of men need to whoop y'all ass. Because you ain't getting it nicely. And you want to stay a part of the community, but we don't group up like that. That's why I am going into my 60s. That's why I don't go to church. There's not enough police officers to police our neighborhoods. Kenneth will tell you that.
Police officers are reactionary. It's literally, most police officers react to stuff. Yeah. They don't initiate anything. Because let's say this. When I was a cop, I initiated traffic stops. Of course, they did something, illegal, whatever. But one, to prevent them from doing it again because of safety. But also, sometimes it was a pretext to say, who's in that car? What are they up to? Now, they committed violations. I ain't never pulled nobody over who had never committed a violation. Never did that. And I ain't never violated anybody's rights. Never did that. But I've also believed this, that because a lot of, like a couple of serial killers got pulled over on track, got arrested because they were on traffic stops. You never know who the person. That's why a lot of times when you when officers get in shootouts on traffic stops, it's because that person's done something else. It ain't because of that damn traffic stop and they don't want to get a ticket. It ain't got nothing to do with that. Unless they just straight up crazy as hell and they just don't want a damn ticket. I've never encountered that, and I don't believe people do that. Usually, when the person when they get into it with a cop like that, into a shootout or angry, there's something else going on with that. It ain't just that, oh, you pull me over and I don't want no damn ticket. There's more to it than that. Or you pull me over, I ain't got no license, so I'm gonna get into a shootout with you because I don't want to go to jail for driving with no license. There's more to it than that. It ain't never as simple as I don't want to go to jail because I ain't got no license. There's a whole lot more to that shit. And like I said, this is something that I posted the other day, yesterday, in reference to what we were talking about. My thing is, why do we celebrate these people who are committing crimes against our community? Why do we celebrate them?
I don't.
Why are we celebrating Larry Hoover getting his federal sentence commuted when he still got 200 years to do for the state of Illinois? He'll never see the light of day again.
Let me be clear.
Why are we celebrating? What's the guy? What's the guy's name? Who the rapper who what's his name's commuted his sentence?
Yeah, he commuted. Who did he commute this week? Pardon this week. He commuted a rapper. He pardoned a rapper this week.
Yeah, I can't think of the rapper's name, but whatever he did,
the Chris Lees.
I don't know.
He pardoned
the Chris Lees. I ain't talking about the Chris. I'm talking about black people.
But Go ahead.
That all that is the Chris Lees. That's all that is just white privilege. That's it. That's just all it is. That's all it is.
So
and they probably their daughter probably gave some money or did something else to get Trump's attention or somebody his orbit's attention. That's why.
Wait. I want Kenneth, but this is what I would say. What you just said is why you have so many black people who are saying they don't have a problem with it. See, what a lot of black people are saying, and I don't think you can get past the feeling. I understand what you're saying. They're saying, if he's doing it for white people, why should I be mad at what he's doing for black people? And what I do want to address one thing. When you say, why do we celebrate?
Mad at all of it.
But wait, let me say this. When you say, why do you celebrate this? And now Marion and Harry, tell me how you feel about it. Yeah, NBA YoungBoy, that's who it was. We celebrate Italian criminals and mobsters. Yeah, we celebrate Italian criminals and mobsters throughout history. Jewish criminals and mobsters. We celebrate gangsters. We romanticize that stuff all the time. The Godfather threw that over the top. Great movie. But I think the difference is, because I think what's the one that turned on John Gotti? The one that turned on John Gotti and they called him a snitch, and he was like, well, he's about to turn on me, his right-hand man. One of the things, he made a comment today or yesterday on his podcast that said the difference between the Italian mob and Sean Combs is this. The rules in the Italian mobs were that you couldn't put your hands on women or children. Those were the rules. And there was no trial if they determined that you put your hands on women and children. You were killed. He said that it never would have got to trial. And I think what Kenneth is saying and what I've been saying for a while is, it seems if there's a new game called Everybody Killer, EBK. My cousin told me about it. There's an offshoot of the GDs. And they don't have no rules. If they come for some reason think that Kenneth and I are their enemies, their motto is come and kill me and Kenneth. Obama could have done more and released those who were locked up along with selling weed or political issues, self-defense issues. I agree. But we've never seen, I agree, Sonia, but we've never seen the pardon power being used the way which is being used.
Hold on. Oh, hold up.
Go ahead.
Don't let that shit pass. No. You want to know why? Because he wore a fucking tan suit. Let's be real. He couldn't have done any of this shit. He wore a tan suit. And the right-wing men lost their goddamn mind. When he came up with an initiative to say, hey, let's go ahead and do something to help young black men. Black boys. And I forgot what it was called, Black Boy Initiative, something like that. They lost their fucking mind. Obama couldn't have done none of this shit. So get out of this bullshit what Obama could have done. Y'all lost y'all motherfucking mind saying that shit.
I think, no.
He wouldn't have got none of this shit done. Every fucking thing No. I ain't letting that shit slide. Every fucking thing Obama did to help our fucking community, them punk ass motherfuckers on the other side made it seem like that motherfucker had just shot an old lady in church. Let's be goddamn real. Let's get with the fucking reality. Let's get with fucking reality on this bullshit.
Hey y'all, he
acted like me. Fucking done. Because every time he tried to do something, let me finish this shit. Every time he tried to fucking do something, them motherfuckers would stop him.
Wait. Hey man, look.
That's the fucking point, man. Y'all keep talking about what Obama could have fucking done.
Wait, are you me today?
The only reason Trump is getting away with this bullshit, hold on, let me finish this shit. Because I ain't letting this shit slide. The only reason Trump is doing this bullshit because he's a white motherfucking man. And number two, the Supreme Court, them bitch ass motherfuckers in the fucking Supreme Court told him he could do what the fuck he want to do. That's why we are where we are. Stop all this bullshit what Obama could have fucking done. Or Biden could have fucking done. No, they couldn't have done this shit. Because they told them they couldn't do this shit. Y'all trying to rewrite motherfucking history. Let's be real. He could have done none of this shit, man. If Obama had said, let's say this. If those people who stormed the Capitol had done it during Obama's administration, and they were Obama supporters, and they were all black men and some black women, if they had done that shit, and he pardoned them, that motherfucker would be impeached right now. They would have ushered his ass out of office. And y'all know that's the motherfucking truth. That's the motherfucking truth. That's the reality of this shit. We gave that we let our people didn't fucking vote, so we got that bitch ass Trump up there that used tissue paper, goddamn toilet paper. The motherfucker ain't shit because we didn't fucking vote, and now we sit there, Obama could have done this. Fuck that shit. No, I won't say it. Y'all want to blame every motherfucking body out here about the shit that's going on in the world, except for the motherfucker who's actually doing the shit. Y'all will not blame him for goddamn thing.
I don't think
his bitch ass is the one reason we in fucking trouble now.
Kenneth, that's not what.
And y'all won't blame his bitch ass.
Look, that's not what she did.
No.
That's not what she
ain't
did.
letting that shit slide. And Sonya been friends for over 30 fucking years.
You ain't gotta let it slide
like that. That's my girl. But y'all wrong as hell for that shit.
Look, you ain't gotta let it slide.
What?
But you should let somebody have a rebuttal. And both of us can't be me.
Ain't
on
no
this
fucking
show.
rebuttal.
Both of us
no
can't
fucking rebuttal.
Both of us can't be me.
Leonard. Let's be real. There is no rebuttal. No rebuttal. I don't give a shit what you say. Your shit ain't gonna make no sense if you disagree with what the fuck I just said. Because
so you don't want
to. Because it ain't based on reality.
So you don't want a rebuttal. Just say that.
There is no rebuttal. Why waste your air?
Just say
everything you say, I would do a drive-by on it and put a hole in that shit.
Nah, well, be quiet and then you can do a drive-by. I don't think that's what she was saying. I don't think she was blaming anything on Obama. I think what she was saying, she didn't blame nothing on Obama. Calm down.
Shit.
Calm down. I hear you. Calm down. Wait. I hear you. But wait a minute.
Sentences for we gonna commute this. And he did do it for some of them. And he got pushed back on that.
You just said that people that she blaming Obama for everything. It's not what she said. What she is saying is this. This is what I'm hearing her saying. Okay, I don't know what she's saying. This is what I'm hearing her saying. She's saying I think Obama could have did more for nonviolent criminals, weed,
and
than what he could have did. Let me finish.
What was one of the things he did? Did he try to legalize weed? Did he not try to legalize weed?
Let me finish. I will remember this until I won't be thinking about it when I'm dying, but I remember Joe Scalesboro said on his show one day. Here's what he said that he thought the fault was of Obama. He said, but he understood the position that he was in.
Now this shit is blended.
Yeah, so two things. It's understood the position he was in. Two things I want to say. Number one, if we had showed up on January 6th and done that, the streets would have been littered with black blood. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So I believe you're 100% right. 100% right. That streets would have been littered with bodies and blood. If any group of black people had went up there and done what they did, the streets would have been littered with blood. I think that the problem with having a black president, which would lead you to believe to say, should we ever have another black president, is that that black president could not show strength against any of the militias that were running around in this country. Marion said, your mother's looking down right now, Dr. Live.
And smiling. And smiling.
I don't
say it. That's my son. My ancestors are proud of me right now.
I agree that we are here because of Mitch McConnell. I agree with that. I think Mitch McConnell's legacy is done. You know, he will go down in history as what's going on right now in this country is because of him. And you said so much. I don't blame Obama. I don't think Obama's not shrewd, but I don't blame Obama for none of the stuff that's going on. This is just a repeat of history. This is a backlash to African American president, and now they got their claws into the meat. They don't want to let it go. And So we could talk about that all day. But we delved off into, and that could be a whole nother show, about what people think about Obama and what they don't. Hey, pretty boy. So I do believe that, because we're running on 11:09 right now. I do believe, and we down there just Marion. I don't want to just be, I love you, Marion, but I don't want to just keep talking to you all day. I do believe that this strategy of us as older Black men who have more good years behind us than we do ahead of us is going to have to change in order to right this ship. I totally believe that. Whether it's what's going on in the Black community, whether it's going on how younger Black men see Black women, whether they're going to deal with some of their trauma, we're going to have to speak out more. There needs to be, and that's not how you handle this. You handle it this way. For all those people that didn't have a father in the house to say you need to handle it this way. There needs more of us standing up. I call decent men standing up and say, nah, we're not gonna let that shit go in the Black community. Y'all don't determine what manhood is in the Black community. But I've been saying that since I thought people, and there's no disrespect to him, because I don't want to, when people start letting rappers become the standard by which we see Black masculinity. Yeah,
right.
So
voice of the community, standing, right, all the stuff.
Right. But then ministers weren't helping in it. So look, it's 11:11. You take us out. I'm sure people got stuff they got to do because I see them dropping off. And take us out with what you got to say, and we'll just get rolling again next week. Go for it.
All right. So sorry, y'all. I need to apologize for my computer glitch has been glitching the whole day. I don't know what's going on. So I apologize for that for y'all. And I'll say this. I apologize for my rant a few minutes ago. I shouldn't have approached it like that. I should have been more scholarly, more approach it in a more less emotional way. But the reason why I feel that way is and I said this, and I want to reiterate this. We can't keep blaming the only Black president we got for the bullshit that we're in now. We can't keep looking back and saying he should have done this when we know damn well in the moment when he was president, they wouldn't let him do. He didn't get a tenth of the stuff that he wanted to get done in 8 years. He did some big things, but he didn't get all that he wanted. So to go back and say he should have done, I know for a fact that he actually tried. Because the stuff that he did get done, the stuff he did put out there, he has stated he wanted to do more. So to go back and revise history to say, make it seem like this is he couldn't do more is disingenuous. It's disingenuous. Having said that, like I said, I apologize for how I came across. I was wrong. Sign, I still love you like a play cousin. And to my cousins, I got to say this. I meant to say this at the beginning of the show. Didn't get a chance to say it, but we have a new phrase, y'all, and we gonna make it. A new phrase that we use in the family. It's called "shaboing boing." See y'all next week. Be safe. Deuces.
See y'all next week.
Did you end the broadcast?
Huh?